successful with this lifestyle tote, there are just a few Sewspire techniques or methods that you will need to understand. The first is the folded pocket technique, and that pocket will be crafted from one continuous cut of fabric, which you will fold in half, press, and then open up and bring the top and the bottom edges inward, and then fold that in half again to create this nice edge at the top of the pocket, which has 4 layers of fabric. You will stitch across that edge to finish the pocket, and then you'll position the pocket on your panel as outlined in the pattern. So in this particular pattern, it is very important to always know where center is on your panels, because everything is going to be positioned from center. So you will stitch across the center of all the panels. In this case, I just pressed the line, and then position that pocket with the bottom edge up from center as outlined, and then the top finished edge, which has the stitching, will go up on that. So I have the pocket position there, and then I would stitch across the base and then divide that as desired. And then half of that interior is complete. Then I'll just flip that upside down and work on the other half, which in the case of this pattern has clear vinyl pockets. You're going to use the standard Sewspire strap method to craft the trim for these pockets. So I have a piece of clear vinyl there, and then I have the pocket trim, which is folded in half, pressed, open, bring those outer edges in to meet on that center press line, fold that over again and press, and then the little piece of vinyl there that'll fashion the pocket, get some fabric trim at the top and the bottom, and you can pin that in place to hold it. You're going to go ahead and stitch across the top trim, and in this pattern there are 2 of those vinyl pockets, so you'll repeat the process twice. The bottom will just remain pinned, and then the top you're going to stitch in place. And then working again with that interior panel, you would position your clear vinyl pocket up from center, and you can pin that in place and then go ahead and stitch across the bottom of that pocket and divide as desired. Then the second little trick for this pattern is for your pattern pieces that have interfacing or batting, you're going to cut that interfacing and batting 1 inch smaller than the actual pattern piece. And the reason for that is we want to minimize the bulk in all of the seams, because there are multiple layers of fabric coming together here. So the next trick I call sandwich making is that all of the panels, including the side pockets, are crafted by creating these little fabric sandwiches, whereby you craft the panel as I did here, the pocket panel, and then you overlay that top piece of bread, if you will, on top, right side spacing, and then stitch only down those long edges. Now, because there is no bulk from the interfacing or batting in those seams, you don't even have to trim those edges. You can just go ahead and turn that tube or sleeve right side out, and then press that nice and flat. When you're working with a vinyl, of course, you'll want to press on the opposite side so that you do not distort or melt your vinyl. And then you take those short ends or raw edges and tuck them inward and press, and then just stitch those closed. And that creates the actual panel, which we duplicate this process, making the exterior panel slightly larger, and then we layer those together and assemble those sides, and almost like magic, this bag starts to take shape. All probably familiar with the Sewspire strap method, which I demonstrated for the trim on the pockets there, where you fold it in half, press, and bring those edges inward to meet on that center press line, and then fold that over again. With this bag, we're going to finish the edges of the straps. So before you begin, press either short end of the strap over, and then proceed with your traditional strap making. You will also want to line these straps with Pellon as well, so you have a nice sturdy strap with finished ends, and that is because we are attaching these straps to the exterior of the bag and then positioning them down on that bag. So we don't want to have any raw edges showing. On the outside of this bag, there is, on one end, there's a pocket that will hide the handle ends, and then on the other end there is a strip of fabric. So the strip of fabric wouldn't be an issue, it would hide the raw edges, but when you open your pocket, you're going to see these handle ends. So I thought it best to finish those. Maybe one other little aspect that you're not familiar with is the top of the zipper casing is crafted in the same way that I craft the straps, and then you sandwich that zipper in between that top lining. Other than that, I'm confident that you all have the skills that you need. If you have been watching Sewspire, you will be very successful with this pattern.